there's this line I have which is, आप अगर सरस्वती के पीछे भागेंगे तो लक्ष्मी आपके पीछे भागेगी, right? If you just there's sincerity in your work, you won't be hungry, you won't starve.
Yeah.
So I've always detached myself from result. Whenever I've done something, my only want has been to compete with myself and be the best that I can be in that field, right? And you only do that with sincerity. So the result will take care of itself, right? And you have to detach yourself from the result, especially if you're working in a creative field. Neki kar darya mein phenk. Have you heard of the saying? Neki kar darya mein phenk means do some good and throw it in the ocean. Don't worry, don't expect anything from it. So find your joy in your journey rather than just the destination.
What's good, you guys? Welcome to now what we call the Ranveer Show with one of the inspirations for the Ranveer Show, Gaurav Kapur.
That's more responsibility than I bargained for.
No, it's easy. Breakfast with Champions has been an inspiration for this show. Bro, you've been an inspiration for a lot of people in the media industry.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's purely because I'm old.
No, but
for no other reason.
Yeah, you also kind of spread across media. Like we see you in IPL, we see you on YouTube. And if people know you in real life, you're also into like business, entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I call myself a multimedia mercenary. Yeah, so I'm a gun for hire.
So, bro, how did all this happen?
I always say like my career has just been sort of one giant mistake. I was supposed to be a banker, but turned out to be a wanker. My whole family is full of bankers. I studied economics. I was fascinated by investment and finance and just the world and markets and demand and supply and all those economic terms which we found so boring when we were studying them, but I found them really interesting. I really wanted to do that, but I also had this performer side of me, which was always with friends groups and stuff, and I was always, in school I was always on stage, so it was dramatics and singing and debating and whatever gave me a chance to sort of be on stage. And radio had just come into Delhi at the time, so FM radio with all this crystal clarity and the beautiful music and my idol Roshan Abbas was on radio at the time, and I was like, oh, I also want to be on radio. I want to be like him. I want to do this. And radio started part-time when I was like 16 years old. And from there, my career has just sort of been one happy stumbling into another. So I tell people that I'm a talentless hack who got lucky. So the right place at the right time. Who took opportunities when they came. I always jumped before I thought. And well, here I am. One happy mistake after the other.
So you're one of the top media personalities in the country today.
Whoa, did not know that. Yeah. I'm okay with it though.
But what do you think has gotten you to the top? Because there's a lot of people who enter the media industry.
Yes.
Not everyone becomes like the face of the IPL. Not everyone, starts their own YouTube channel the way you have. So what have you done different?
It's just my inherent sheer awesomeness, I feel, that has just helped me along the way. Matlab Bhagwan ka diya sab kuch hai. Nah, I'm just... I honestly don't know what it is. There's a couple of things mixed together. One is I have a childlike fascination with new things. So whenever a new opportunity is presented, my first thing is always to go and jump and say yes. Then there's one thing which I really value above everything else, which is absolute and total sincerity to process. So I've always detached myself from result. Whenever I've done something, my only want has been to compete with myself and be the best that I can be in that field, right? And you only do that with sincerity. So the result will take care of itself, right? And you have to detach yourself from the result, especially if you're working in a creative field, right? Neki kar darya mein phenk. Have you heard of the saying? Neki kar darya mein phenk means do some good and throw it in the ocean. Don't worry, don't expect anything from it. So find your joy in your journey rather than just the destination. So I've always had this. And if you enjoy the process, you're not worried about whether
Motivation will come from.
Yeah, you won't worry about whether it'll do well or it won't, because you've actually got what you wanted to out of that, right? You've really enjoyed it, and B, you don't feel like you worked a single day in your life.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you feel like that?
I really feel like that. I don't think I've done an honest day's labor in my life.
So Gaurav, bro, I have to ask you this. This is something that a lot of parents and kids all over the place are thinking. Does the media industry pay you well?
If you're successful, yes. When you start, no. So it's just like any other career.
Got it. Does it also depend a lot on your own hustle?
Of course it does, as does everything. Today I think people's skills are more important than anything else, not just in the media but in any job that you do. Because more and more even corporates are moving towards, hey, how do I tell a story? Because every business goes to consumer, right? So how are you telling your story? So whether you're in a B2B business or a B2C business, you got to tell your story. You need people skills. So you need domain expertise, of course, and you need hustle.
You know when people say that communication skills are like the number one thing required in life, and you sometimes you think to yourself, why is that? Like I feel you're a great example of that phrase. Do you feel that that's your biggest strength that's taken you far?
Yes, I think that also do a fair bit of analytical thinking. So
Got it.
we are also
In every aspect.
You got to, right? You got to know your industry. I have friends who tell me, how did you know? So if somebody's doing a show, they'll be like, oh dude, I'm going for an event today. I was like, oh, this event which is happening. He's like, how do you know? I was like, but it's my business to know. How do you not know? Right? You need to. It's my business to know every event that's happening, every show that's happening, every film that's happening, every cricket game that's happening. It's your knowledge is your business. Because how will you communicate unless you have the knowledge and you have the context?
Okay, so Gaurav, bro, I have to ask you this. One thing that a lot of people don't know about you is that you're actually a super active investor. So I got to know this when I recorded the BwC episode with you.
Yeah.
And the crush of every 90s kid, Shivani Dandekar, mentioned something about how you're awesome at multiplying money. How did that happen?
Listen, so hang on. Investing in startups and multiplying money are not correlated. Okay. All right? Because a lot of times you're dividing money and subtracting money when you invest in startups. Because the thing is that you could just go to zero tomorrow, but you could multiply it. So I'm not good at multiplying money. I wouldn't say that. What I'm good
but
at
you have your basic
is backing the right people. Right? So you've got to. One of the biggest words for me is optimize. Right? I love that word. So optimize your skill, optimize your resources, optimize your time, which means be efficient and juice the most out of it. So even with when I meet startups, when I meet young guys, so I meet a young guy, I'm like, okay, what's the question? Like, what do you mean what's the question? I'm like, you're doing something which is an answer to a question. So what's the question? What was the burning question that forced you? For Mark Zuckerberg, it was like, the question was, how do I get girls to talk to me? Right? And then he started Facebook, right? So what's your burning question? What's your pain point? What's troubling you? And now tell me the solution you've come up with. And now tell me why your solution is better than anybody else's, right? And if I see that passion, a lot of times I don't even see the entire working of the product. I'm like, because you back a team, you're not backing a product. That product without a motivated team is nothing.
Are you also super into personal finance?
Yes, I am. I'm very bad at managing it, and luckily I could afford to be bad at managing it because my brother's a banker and my father is a de facto CFO of my company. And because I started working when I was 17 or 16, and I was a taxpayer since then, and I was a minor. So luckily my brother and my dad took care of all my investments, so now I'm getting more and more involved in it. And I don't like investing in property. I don't feel property is, I mean, I own the house that I live in. Besides that, I don't really invest in property because I feel like that's a saturated market in India. I feel your generation is very different from my generation, which is totally different from my dad's generation. Right?
And you're just like 10 years older than me, 15 years.
So my generation was still, some middle class values of buy a house, be settled. Your generation doesn't care about that. You guys don't care about buying a house or buying a car. You're more about experiences, right? Everything is a disposable economy for you. So property as an investment will always be solid, but will it give you exponential gain in the next 5 years? No, it won't. It won't give you the gain that it gave you in the early 2000s, right? So I'm not a big investor in property. It's just too much to manage. So I do a lot of sort of mutual funds, equity markets. So my profile as an investor is high risk. So and high risk in this country is at a premium because people are so risk averse. And our risk averse comes purely from our middle class upbringing.
The play it safe.
Beta safe ho jao. Beta settle ho jao. Arey, how can you be settled in life which is such an unsettling experience? Don't settle, man. Don't settle for anything. Let life be as unsettling and as risky and as mercurial and volatile as it can be.
Easy. So, what is your biggest piece of advice to a 25-year-old who's just figuring out what to do with his
Invest in yourself. That's the first thing I'd say. So what I realized is I also used to like kind of save, and now what I tell people in their 20s is don't bother too much about saving. I'll tell you why. May seem like bad advice, but from 23, 24 till about 30, the money that you will save, when you do your next jump up in life, you'll save all that money in 2 months.
Like your next promotion.
And suddenly you look back at your previous 4 years, 5 years, when you denied yourself, when you didn't take that holiday, when you didn't go for that experience, you missed that concert, because you were saving money. And you go, dude, I didn't do all those things for 5 years. And now I've saved that money in 2 months. So when the money is only this much, invest in yourself. That 4,000-5,000 rupees you save per month for the next 5 years, honestly, what's 3 lakhs going to get you today? You're not saving for your future, no? Because in 5 years, that 3 lakhs you'll spend in 3 months. You are your biggest asset, right? So invest in that. There is a time you may want to buy a house, you want to buy a Range Rover, you want to buy a jet, rocket, whatever you want to do. That age will come. In your 20s, you are your asset, you are your tool, you are your product. Invest in yourself. And by investing in yourself, I mean that could be clothes, that could be protein shake, that could be travel, that could be books, that could be a course, anything. Invest in yourself.
But at the same time, balance it out with like working at your career and things like that.
By investing in yourself, I mean exactly that. Is that how can you constantly upskill yourself for your career? And all these things are obviously personal development also happens in that much time. But these are all for professional development that I'm talking about.
Okay, so there's this quote where people say that in your 20s, like the work that you do, the effort that you do sets you up for the rest of your life. Yeah. Have you actually experienced that with your own career?
I think my every yesterday is setting me up for my today.
Have you seen people who were counterparts in your 20s, you know, who've gotten left behind in the race?
Where are they, man? Where is everybody? I think it would be a little mean of me to answer that question honestly. Yeah. But I've never taken any pride in that. I'm that kind of person. I hope everyone does well.
For sure, but like
I want to do the best I can do myself.
Yeah.
And I can only do that because I constantly focus on upskilling myself every day.
But the people who've not kind of kept up with the race, what do you think went wrong there?
So as you grow older in life, you'll realize that the toughest challenge is the race for relevance, right? To just stay relevant as audiences change, as their tastes change. So my career has gone from radio to Channel V to films. I'm also very proudly a failed film actor, not for want of trying. I tried a lot. I did like 10 movies, just did not work. And then cricket. So I've constantly tried to stay relevant. And when I'd done cricket for 7-8 years, I was like, okay, now I want to produce my own stuff. And then Breakfast with Champions happened, and a little more GK and Miss Field and all these other shows that we made. And now I'm looking for, hey, what's my next trick?
So, Gaurav, you've been in this industry for like 20 years. I'm sure you've done like a fair bit of networking.
Bloody hell, I'm old, yeah.
But, okay, so a lot of young kids out there, especially college kids watching this, are super concerned about this concept of networking.
Yeah.
What's your advice for them? Like, how do you go about creating your network in any industry?
There should be some value, right? I mean, if you were to just come speak to me, right? And if there's something we can mutually gain out of it, then you're networking. Otherwise, you're a fan who's asking for a selfie or an autograph, right? Yeah. When you're networking, first is
create value within yourself.
And know that value. And then pitch that value. Only then you're networking. But of course, it's very important because people need to know.
Do you feel like it automatically builds up your network after a point if you yourself are a valuable person?
Yeah. Everybody wants to. कहते हैं ना चढ़ते सूरज को सब सलाम करते हैं, right? So be that चढ़ता सूरज.
All the time.
Just be, man. Just radiate. Just gain that knowledge.
What do you think about reading for entrepreneurs in general?
You must. How else are you going to learn? You're going to learn by making mistakes, yes. But to get there, learn from other people's mistakes, no? So read Branson's book, read Jeff Bezos' book, read Sergey and Larry's Google book. Read all these people who've done stuff. And more than what they've done right, focus on what they did wrong and how they picked themselves up from it. As an entrepreneur, man, life is hard. You may do a course, you may do everything, but nothing prepares you for the real stuff. And you'll know that as you scale your team.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, boss.
There are mistakes.
And they should be.
Yeah.
But learn from them. The more and more decisions you have to make, and I hope your business grows to a point where you're making 20 decisions a day, you're not going to get 20 out of 20 right. Nobody does. Not Zuckerberg, not Elon Musk, not Larry and Sergey. Nobody gets every decision right. But it's important to learn from them. It's important to listen to your team. It's important to learn to hear no. A lot of times you're like, oh, hang on, man. I'm the definitive sports entertainment show. I don't need to listen to anyone. That's crap. The better, the more successful it gets, the more I have to listen to more people. Listen. No, I'm not saying जो सब कह रहे हैं वो करो, but लो तो. अगर सुनोगे नहीं तो better कैसे बनोगे?
If you had to go back to like an 18-year-old Gaurav Kapoor who was just starting out in the media industry, and you had no idea where your career was going. I mean, things have gone well, and you entered the world of business, the world of investing. If you had to go back and give that 18-year-old a piece of advice, what would it be?
On a personal basis, I would just say take care of your health a little more. I should have just been a little more mindful of my health. Professionally, I would say be a little less apologetic about your achievements. Right? So I tend to downplay my achievements a bit. I'm not saying tom-tom them. I'm not saying rest on them. I'm saying just appreciate them a little more. Right? And it's good. We need to, world's a harsh place. Sometimes we need to tell ourselves, you did okay. You did alright, man. It's okay. Doesn't matter if it failed. Doesn't matter if it got no revenue. Nobody watched it. You did well when you made it. You had the right intention. It's okay. Don't beat yourself up. So I think that's what I would tell my 18-year-old self. So value yourself, value your talent, value your contribution, value the people around you, value the people who helped you get where you are. Value your consumer. Value the next generation. I think that's a good word. Once you do that, I think you'll be set. And I think you've got your moral systems quite in place that way. I feel like you have, you value the contribution of other people, right? So you're a good listener, and you've got to be a good listener. I mean, I should not be saying that right now, but then you're interviewing me, so I have to give the answers. But listening is very important. And knowing your value and the value of things around you is very important.
Got it, man.
God bless you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
I just thought that sermon had to end with a God bless you, child. May you go forth and conquer.
But thank you.
That is the end of your communion.
Yeah. Thanks for breaking that stress. But this was a great interview. Thank you, bro. I'm going to link Oaktree Sports down below. Go check it out. Go subscribe. I'm going to link Gaurav's handles under this video. Thank you for being a part of...
No, my pleasure, man. And I'm very happy. I'm always happy to see your success. Thank you so much for coming on Breakfast with Champions.
I loved it.
We called you and you just sort of, you just came immediately, and I really appreciate that. And those small gestures, for me, count for a lot. Always. So thank you for doing that.
Coming from a huge fanboy of BwC.
All right.
Oh, are we doing that? Yeah. We're good.
I am 12 years old.
I feel that vibe. Okay, so we're gonna end it from the Ranveer Show, from Gaurav Kapoor, from Ranveer. We'll see you later.